a beautiful Malibu wedding, a couple madly in love, a small gathering of the closest friends and family you could ask for. On the surface, Brody Jenner and Tia Blanco's wedding was a total fairy tale. But when you take a closer look at the guest list, you start to notice who wasn't there. And it's a huge omission. Two of the most famous women on the planet, Brody's own half-sisters, Kendall and Kylie Jenner, were nowhere in sight. The reason why seems to be a lot more complicated than just a scheduling conflict. This wasn't just a simple snub. It feels like a symptom of a deeply fractured family, a story of two separate worlds, and a quiet feud between two powerful mothers that seems to have left its mark. Brody Jenner's wedding to Tia Blanco looked like a Malibu dream, held at his mom Linda Thompson's stunning home on July 12, 2025. But two key people were missing: his sisters Kendall and Kylie Jenner. And it's not like it was a long trip. The wedding was a quick 25-minute drive from their homes. So why did they skip it? The answer might just expose a family rift that's been brewing for decades, and it could all come down to their moms. Before we get into the drama, let's set the scene for what was, by all accounts, a gorgeous day. Brody, now 41, and Tia Blanco, a 28-year-old pro surfer, planned an event that was the complete opposite of a huge, splashy celebrity circus. This was personal. Held right in the backyard of his mother Linda Thompson's Malibu home, the guest list was kept to a tight-knit circle of just 60 to 70 people. It was exactly the kind of life Brody has always said he wanted. One focused on real connection, far away from the Hollywood machine. The couple, who got together back in 2022 and had their daughter, Honey Ray, in 2023, wanted the day to be all about their love and their new family. Their daughter was right there, a sweet part of the celebration. Brody wore a classic tux, Tia looked amazing in an off-the-shoulder lace dress, and they made their big entrance as a married couple to Natasha Bedingfield's Unwritten, a fun throwback to Brody's time on the hills. Even Caitlyn Jenner was there, which is a pretty big deal. Their relationship has been strained in the past, and Caitlyn famously missed Brody's first wedding to Caitlyn Carter back in 2018. Her being there this time looked like a sign that old wounds were healing. It should have been a perfect moment of family unity, but the absence of Kendall and Kylie left a space that was hard to miss, turning a celebration of love into a public question mark. Let's be clear. Kendall and Kylie Jenner were reportedly invited. This wasn't some kind of accident. Brody apparently sent the invitation to his younger sisters months ago. And yet, on the day of the wedding, they were not in Malibu. Instead, social media was buzzing with what appeared to be photos of them on a luxury yacht, vacationing in Europe. For anyone who's followed the wild saga of the Jenner-Kardashian clan, this all feels painfully familiar. This isn't the first time Brody's been left hanging by his sisters on his wedding day. Back in 2018, when Brody married his now ex-wife Caitlyn Carter in Bali, Kendall and Kylie were also no-shows. In fact, Brody told People magazine at the time that they didn't even RSVP. He said, "My two little sisters, we never even heard from them. They never even RSVP'd, I don't think. We sent them an invite, but we just never heard anything back. Well, they'll be missed. I would have loved to have had them there." That 2018 snub was a very public hint at the distance between the siblings. Now, all these years later, with a new wife and a new baby, it happened again. Is this just a pattern of disrespect? Or is there something way deeper and more complicated going on behind the perfect Instagram filters? Almost as soon as people noticed they were missing, a convenient explanation started making the rounds. Sources close to the sisters told outlets like TMZ that skipping the wedding wasn't about drama. Instead, it was supposedly a strategic move to keep the spotlight on the bride and groom. The idea is that Kendall and Kylie, with their mega fame and swarms of paparazzi, thought their arrival would turn the whole thing into a media circus and overshadow Brody and Tia's special day. On one hand, that sounds thoughtful, but in the world of celebrity PR, it also sounds like a beautifully crafted excuse. A lot of people are skeptical. Why? Because family is supposed to show up. Real support means being there for the big moments, no matter how much attention it gets. The idea that their presence would be a burden instead of a blessing feels like a convenient way to smooth over what looks like a very personal decision. Plus, that excuse doesn't explain the 2018 snub, and it doesn't line up with years of Brody himself talking about feeling like an outsider in his own family. To really get why Kendall and Kylie might feel so disconnected from Brody, You have to rewind to the 80s and the complicated history between their mothers, Kris Jenner and Linda Thompson. Both women were married to Caitlyn Jenner. Linda was married to Caitlyn from 1981 to 1986, and they had 2 sons, Brandon and Brody. Their marriage ended after Caitlyn confided in Linda about her gender identity, a secret Linda kept for years. Then in 1991, Caitlyn married Kris Jenner, who already had kids from her marriage to Robert Kardashian. Together they had Kendall and Kylie. This created a huge blended family that, by many accounts, never really blended. The Kardashian side, brilliantly managed by Kris, became a global empire. Meanwhile, the Jenner boys, raised by Linda, lived a separate life in Malibu, mostly outside of the Kardashian media machine. Sources have pointed to long-standing tension between Kris and Linda that has simmered for years, and that kind of tension was bound to affect the kids. It's painted a picture of 2 families connected by a parent but separated by loyalty, lifestyle, and the echoes of the past. Maybe the most convincing evidence of this rift comes from Brody Jenner himself. Over the years on reality TV and in interviews, he has consistently talked about feeling disconnected from the whole Kardashian-Jenner operation. He's been open about his complicated and sometimes painful relationship with Caitlyn, admitting his dad wasn't always around when he was growing up. That feeling of being on the outside looking in seems to apply to his relationship with his younger sisters too. He's explained that since they didn't grow up in the same house and lead such different lives, they just aren't that close. He often points out how different their childhoods were. While he was making his own way, Kendall and Kylie were being shaped by the fame-driven world of Hollywood, with Kris Jenner at the helm. He's made it clear that despite sharing the Jenner name, he wasn't living the same life of luxury as his sisters. He describes a relationship that's friendly but distant. The wedding invitation wasn't just an invitation, it was an olive branch. And for the second time, it seems his sisters chose not to take it. So was Kendall and Kylie's absence a selfless act to keep the spotlight on their brother, like the official story says? Or was it a cold shoulder that reveals a family rift decades in the making? The history points to years of distance, fueled by a complicated past and 2 worlds that rarely collide. Caitlyn Jenner's attendance shows that healing is possible, but the empty chairs where Kendall and Kylie could have been suggest that for this family, some gaps might be too wide to cross. In the end, the picture-perfect Malibu wedding accidentally became a portrait of a family that still seems pretty broken. What do you think? Was this a thoughtful move by Kendall and Kylie? Or was it a major snub? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.